You ever have one of those days when your whole world is counting on a single moment and one person's bad attitude nearly derails everything? That was me, Colonel Robert Nash, standing at Gate 47 in Denver International, my Medal of Honor catching every stare in the building, while a gate agent half my age told me, straight-faced, that medals don't buy first-class seats. Yeah, that happened. Just 9 minutes earlier, I'd been imagining a quiet flight to DC to bury the man who once saved my life. Now, federal agents were crawling all over the place, and my phone wouldn't stop buzzing with calls from the Pentagon. All this, just so I could get to Arlington in time to salute the man who carried me out of hell and never really came back himself. See, I wasn't just some stiff in a uniform. I'd been through a lot. 28 years in the Army, from Montana's back roads to battalion command. But nothing I'd ever done made me feel smaller than getting stonewalled by a junior airline employee with a computer and too much attitude. The airport was chaos, everyone running, announcements blaring, but I moved slow, steady. You learn not to rush after you've seen how quickly things can go wrong. At 52, I'd seen enough men die from mistakes that I carried their memory with every step. That day, the memory felt heavy. Let me back up a sec. The Medal of Honor around my neck wasn't a trophy. It was a burden, a reminder of a firefight in Fallujah that I survived mostly by luck and a little bit of insanity. I pulled 7 wounded out under fire. The citation says heroism, but what I remember is Marcus Williams, my old platoon sergeant, covering my 6th run, taking rounds that should have ended me. Marcus lived, but only in body. The war kept on chewing at him for 12 more years. Tomorrow's funeral was my last chance to thank him for letting me keep my future, even as he lost his own. That's why I'd booked first class. Not because I needed champagne service, but because after all these years, a few hours rest before facing a widow and 3 kids felt like the least I could do to show up with the respect they deserved. Some things you don't cheap out on, you know? Gate agent Jennifer Walsh didn't see it that way. She was the type who'd memorized every company policy and built her confidence on denying people the things they needed most. Your reservation's been flagged for review, she said, without a hint of apology. I handed her my boarding pass and military ID. Calm, patient, every inch the soldier taught to respect process, but it was like talking to a wall. Your military discount doesn't cover first class, she insisted, even though I'd paid the full fare. No discount. She didn't care. She'd already decided I was another uniform trying to game the system. No matter how I explained, showed receipts, she cut me off. Medals don't buy first-class seats. You can take coach or find another flight. The gate door closed. My seat left empty. That plane headed to DC without me. I watched it taxi away, this sinking weight pressing down. A familiar tightness, like back in Iraq when plans blew up and good men paid the price for someone else's indifference. That's what got me. Not the seat, but what it represented. A system that didn't give a damn about service or sacrifice when it really counted. A text buzzed in from Marcus's widow. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Colonel. Marcus always said you'd move heaven and earth for your men. I stared at it, sick with the knowledge I was about to fail a Gold Star family because a gate agent wouldn't look past her screen. The next flight wasn't until after the funeral. Missing Marcus's final goodbye? That wasn't an inconvenience. That was betrayal. I marched back to the counter, every step measured, laptop bag in hand. Ma'am, I need to speak with your supervisor. Jennifer barely glanced up, already annoyed. I've explained our policies, sir. Supervisor will tell you the same thing. Passengers started gathering, some filming. Everyone loves a spectacle, especially when it's a man in uniform being stonewalled by someone half his size. I pulled up my reservation on my laptop. Full price, no discount. Here's my receipt, ma'am. There's been a mistake. She glanced, not even 3 seconds. Our system says otherwise. You'll need to call customer service. Yeah, the infamous customer service. Hours on hold, just to be told to start over. I wasn't having it, not this time. I need someone with authority to fix this now, I said, my voice the same one that once made battalions snap to dot. That's when she looked up. Really looked, not just at my uniform, but at the weight behind my words. I am the authority at this gate, sir. Don't like our policies? Fly another airline. The room shifted, tension thick enough to cut. Someone whispered, "Isn't that the Medal of Honor?" The energy in that space changed. People weren't just watching, they were choosing sides. You know what I did? I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my contacts, and found a number I hadn't called in 2 years. Some problems need proper channels. Others, well, sometimes you call a friend at the top. 2 rings, and General Patricia Hawkins, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, picked up. "What's your situation, Colonel?" I laid it out, stranded at Denver, being blocked from attending Marcus's funeral. She knew Marcus. She'd been there in Iraq when he got his Purple Heart. The line went silent. Then she said, "Stand by, Colonel. This is about to change." 8 minutes of airport silence followed, the kind where even the usual announcements sound distant. Then, at 4:03 p.m., every departure screen in Denver International flashed red, all flights suspended by federal order. Jennifer's terminal dinged, emergency notification from headquarters. She read it twice, color draining from her face. Through the windows, I saw black SUVs tearing across the tarmac. Agents stepped out, badges shining, moving with a purpose. Jennifer's supervisor hustled to the counter, trailed by 2 agents from Homeland Security. "Ms. Walsh, we need to discuss your interaction with Colonel Nash." Her excuses fell apart fast when they pulled up my real reservation, proved I'd paid every cent. Her fictional discrepancy wasn't a mistake, it was an excuse, and it unraveled in seconds. 30 minutes later, the regional manager showed up, sweating bullets, apology at the ready. "Colonel Nash, we're reinstating your reservation and providing first-class service for life." I shook my head. "I don't want free flights. I want your word no service member ever gets treated like this again." He nodded so fast I thought his head might snap off. "Absolutely, sir. We'll retrain everyone, starting now." Jennifer packed her things and left, her career done. The video of our encounter hit social media before I even boarded, and by the time Flight 1847 pulled back to the gate, this time under federal escort, the whole airport seemed to know. Passengers applauded quietly as I took my seat. Not for me, but for every service member who ever got the short end of the stick from a system that claims to care. Next morning, at Arlington, I stood at attention while the flag was folded for Marcus. The ceremony was all military precision, but my mind drifted back to Denver, to Jennifer, to the ordinary people who watched and realized that medals aren't jewelry, they're reminders. Service doesn't stop at retirement. Neither does the fight to stand up for each other when the system falls short. After the ceremony, Marcus's widow pressed the folded flag into my hands, voice trembling but strong. "Colonel, Marcus always said you'd move heaven and earth for your men. Yesterday proved he was right. So yeah, sometimes moving heaven and earth is just about making the right call, refusing to back down, insisting on a little dignity when it matters." The truth is, most Americans support the troops, in theory. In reality, it takes moments like this for people to see what sacrifice really looks like and why honor matters, not for perks, but for the principle. What about you? If you saw this unfold, whose side would you take? Is honor just a word, or does it mean standing up when the system gets it wrong? Let me know in the comments, because sometimes the fight for respect is the one that never really ends.